everyone, welcome to this Storyboard special. I'm Shibani Gharat. Mondelez India, or Cadbury's as it was known to all of us back then, has been present in India for 75 years now. The company introduced Cadbury dairy milk in India in 1948 and since then has been a leader in the chocolate category in the country. To be honest, my childhood memories would have been incomplete without the mention of Cadbury's or the company products. Cadbury's, Bonvita, 5-Star, Gems all have added colors to our festival celebrations, summer vacations or even sports days at school. Consumers' love for all Cadbury products over the past 7.5 decades has been immense, but it was not always a smooth ride. For example, many decades ago, when the brand was finding feet in the India market, it faced a real challenge as chocolate was seen as childish novelty in comparison to the country's wealth of homegrown sweet treats. The most critical task at hand back then was to create category adoption for chocolates. That's where strong marketing and advertising helped. And truly, in its strong 7.5-decade journey, the brand has created a sweet spot in the mind and hearts of consumers across the country with some of the most iconic ads that this country has seen. Whether it is Asli Swad Zindagi Ka or Kuch Meetha Ho Jaye, Tayari Jeet Ki to Ramesh Suresh, or the most recent award-winning campaign that recently picked a Grand Prix at Cannes Lions was Shah Rukh Khan My Ad. All of them have had a significant role to play in the 75-year-old story of Cadbury's or Mondelez in India. To tell us more about the journey, today joining us in the studio are brand custodians. We have Piyush Pandey, Chairman Global Creative and Executive Chairman India Ogilvy, Nitin Saini, Vice President Marketing Mondelez International, Shekhar Banerjee, Chief Client Officer and Office Head West Wavemaker India, and virtually we are joined in by Anil Vishwanathan, MD of Vietnam Mondelez International, Sukesh Naik, Chief Creative Officer Ogilvy India. Start with you, Piyush. You are someone who has worked on Mondelez or Cadbury's account for 40 years now. Tell us more about, the time when you started work on the account. What was it like, your introduction to Cadbury's back then?
See, actually, my first introduction was in my very first year with a campaign that was done by my predecessor as the Creative Director of India, Suresh Malik. And even in 1982, it was the campaign of the year. It was a campaign which said sometimes Cadbury's can say it better than words. जो बात बातों से न बन पाए वो Cadbury's से बन जाए. It was a tremendous campaign. And then times changed, we evolved, and slowly with advertising, we were falling into the trap of parents buying chocolates for the children. They were eating also, but it was only seen as for the children. So when they used to grow up 13, 14 years, they used to drop out. And that was not helping Cadbury at all. So we had to break that without losing the children. And that's when Asli Swad Zindagi Ka as a campaign started. And we were able to straddle both children and parents. And Anil and these people will know as to what it did to the market. If
you can share, what according to you as marketers were the most iconic points or milestones in this entire 7.5-decade journey of Mondelez in India. Nitin, first up with you.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, that's a great question. I think there are definitely a few that come to my mind. I would say that the work that we did in building relevance for Cadbury Dairy Milk, starting late 80s, and then in 2000s with the whole Kuch Meetha Ho Jaye campaign, that has played a huge role in building relevance for Cadbury Dairy Milk as the modern Meetha. So that I would say is definitely one of the milestones that comes to my mind. The second milestone is actually the launch of Cadbury Silk, which has become a big brand today. And when we were talking about introducing it, we were already seeing this trend of consumers looking for more premium experiences. And I think we just got the timing right. And I don't think we could have done without Silk as we look at our business today. The third one that comes to my mind is actually the launch of Oreo, because we were a big chocolate company till 2011. And then we got Oreo, and Oreo is a really big brand today in our business. And now we can say that we are not just a chocolate company, we are a snacking company with strong position in both chocolate as well as biscuits.
Yeah.
So
Anil?
those three, and then I'll
Anil,
pass it over to Anil.
your inputs?
Yeah, just building on that to say, I think one of the reasons why we in India have possibly the highest market share across the world is because of the portfolio that we've built over the years. So typically, Mondelez is a very strong tablets brand, so tablets company in the world. Whereas in India, along with tablets, we have the whole portfolio from gifting to our Countline brand, which is Perk, 5-Star, Fuse, Crispello, to unique brands like Gems, and then of course our gifting portfolio. So that portfolio brings us the kind of category leadership and scale and strength that is unmatched, and that then becomes a strong competitive advantage for us. We aren't leaving really large niches for anybody to come in. Secondly, I think Nitin already mentioned, but to re-emphasize that along with our growth and scale, we are also one of the most profitable companies from a chocolate perspective in India across the world, and that's because of the way we built the premium chocolate business. In a market like India and in these emerging markets, there are very few examples of really mainstream brands premiumizing, and that way the premium portfolio that you've built is really world class. And this is something that we now want to take to different markets.
Yes, and incidentally, you joined Mondelez as a marketing trainee. So what was that like?
Yeah, I joined in 2003, so I just celebrated the 20th anniversary actually back in May. And it's been a hell of a ride, I mean, and that's the great thing about Mondelez. I've just been fortunate to get these varied experiences, whether it is sales or marketing, or whether it is working in the region or India or global. But I must say I'm very happy to be back here. It's the best place to be, Mondelez India.
Piyush, working on Mondelez or Cadbury's account for the past 40 years, being with the company, with the brand for the past 20 years. There is Anil, who's worked on it for 23 years, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anil. And then Sukesh, I think, is someone who's the youngest who's been working on Mondelez for the past 10 years, 1 decade, if I'm not mistaken. But still, man of the moment. You just picked up a Grand Prix at Cannes Lions for a campaign for Mondelez. So tell us more about this big win.
Collectively, we had a very good feeling when we went in with this work. And this work had kind of impressed even last year with the titanium that it converted. So I think, like Nitin rightly said, best in class. A lot of people were very impressed with our thinking, with the way we were building our market, the way we were providing solutions for our consumers. And I think it was very, I think that the jury that I heard, I met some of them after the ceremony, and they were pretty unanimous in their decision, which was very nice to hear. That they felt that this is the kind of work that they feel is creative and it's also effective, and they felt that they both can very well go together hand in hand, and that was something very nice to hear. So it was quite incredible to go back the next year and close the run on a very, very, very brave and a campaign that we are very proud of.
And Sukesh and Shekhar, you are the ones, you married something that is so human, which is the generosity platform, and weaved it into something, integrated AI into it, integrated tech into it. What were the challenges in doing so? If we can go one by one. Sukesh first.
The one with Shah Rukh Khan. Everywhere there's a human idea in play, and your idea has to be the core of it, and it must have a human connection. And then the technology, honestly, a lot of times, Shivani, the interesting part is we don't even know how will we do that. I remember Shah Rukh Khan in one line, the idea which we went to Mondelez was that everyone has a brand ambassador, and what if we have a brand ambassador that can be a brand ambassador for everyone who needs it? And I remember in the room when we presented this, everyone said, this is fantastic, but none of us had a clue how we're going to do it. And I think that's where great teamwork also comes into play, which is what I'm very proud of, is all of us got into it and we found a solution. And when we found the solution, it was seamless, it was unique, it was amazing. What we are doing going forward this year also, the stuff that we're creating together, it's exciting, It's like I see youngsters in my team who are dying to work to find new, amazing connections.
Shekhar?
It's fabulous that it's almost like when you get the idea, say, I wish I could do this. And then there's somebody who comes and says, I can make it happen for you.
Yeah.
So that's the connection.
Yeah, actually, it is very special what Sukesh was talking about, because the kind of journey that we have gone behind each of these ideas to make it happen. And Shah Rukh Khan ad we saw in the second year. First year was not just a Cadbury ad. And a lot of tech was of first year was used again in second year as the base level. So they were all build-ups. And I remember there was a 3-4 months period where there were moments we said it cannot be done. There were partners of us who said that no, it cannot be done, it's not possible. But then all of us again went back, because I think what was there, we believed in that idea so much that we said we have to make it done, make it happen, and therefore we have to figure out a hack. So a lot of techs which we used were actually not existing. So like the hyper local pin code level targeting that was set up, these techs were not there the way it has been used. And then second year when it happened, all those came handy. And then another tech got layered on top of it. It's very amazing. So if we had to do first year Shah Rukh Khan ad, I don't know whether we would, how much we would have struggled. So it's crazy, the journey that we have done, and the persistence. I think that's the magic where it is.
What was the challenge in convincing your client to do something like this?
I think
Not really.
Not really, actually.
He was waiting for it.
I think, Shibani, we are lucky. I must say, Piyush rightly said, I have Anil here. And Anil has been, I think this was what, 6 years back, Anil, if I remember, a meeting in Cannes with that started this journey.
So he never said ki ye kya bakwas hai, matlab, like, what are you guys doing?
I think the amazing part,
Anil is Anil. He's not like me that when people say I'll do deep fake, then I would turn around and say don't do anything fake.
It is time for a short break. This discussion on 75 years of Mondelez in India continues. You don't go anywhere. We will be right back.